We saw you here in Adelaide on the tour promoting your previous album, and that was called Kulkia.
Mm-hmm.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Quite good, Kulkia.
Where did you go after here, and what stage was the band at when everything shut down?
Oh, mine. It was 2019, right, when we were down there. And we still did a US tour in between, like after that. And then we were in Japan actually on March. The last day of February and first day of March, we had shows in Osaka, in Tokyo. And it was Sunday, March 1st, that we played on Tokyo for 800 people. And that night on the nationwide news in Japan, they mentioned that there had been a concert in Osaka with 140 people in an audience, and 9 had had the COVID out of those 100, and they asked, the government asked that nobody would go to any events anymore. At that point, they had already shut down big sport events, like the sumo wrestling championships weren't happening and things like that. But they literally shut down the country the evening of right after our last concert in Tokyo. So and then we flew back to Finland, and one by one the calendar became empty. So that was a tough situation to be in. And now, at least myself, I'm pretty relaxed about it. I've been lucky to have compositional work and other things within the music than performing. So I've managed to stay active and creative even in these hard times. But a lot of the colleagues and other musicians are really in a desperate situation right now.
So how did the band go getting this new music out? Was it all done isolation, sending things over the internet, or did you manage to get together as a band? How did it work out for Korpiklaani?
Well, we did manage to meet each other. Finland was very mildly hit, and yet we've had quite strong restrictions here. So concerts are not happening here, even though our COVID numbers are very low compared to almost anywhere in the world. But I think we've played out smart over here, that we've took it seriously before the numbers are sky high. We don't really work for the arrangements as together as a full band. So our process goes in a way that whoever writes the song sends out the demo for everyone, and then there's kind of feedback round going on. And most often the folk part, the violin and accordion, is being further developed by me and Sami, and Sami being the most productive one in these terms. I have an easier place with the violin, kind of giving accompanied tones, following the harmonies and then playing solos, whereas Sami is actually, he's all over with his accordion almost all the time. So he actually has more to do in terms of the arrangements. So we worked together with Sami on my place. We traveled to Jonne's place and worked there, the three of us, and Samuli, our new drummer, was there also. And Jonne and Samuli worked together quite a bit. Samuli has had an impact on the overall structures of the songs, and I think his impact really made these songs better, more strong. So this kind of, it is like a collective process, but not like a big jam session with everybody present.
You can swoop in at the end and embellish it with your violin and be done.
Yeah, exactly. And also, personally, I never practiced my solos before the studio. I like to go in raw and unfinished, because that gives a little bit more, it makes it more intense for myself and makes my sound to be a little bit more aggressive. So, if I'd practice them, then I would just be there in a studio trying to play what I already, what I've already done. So I don't like that. I like to have that wild card, that I don't know exactly myself what's going to happen, to give a little extra juice into my playing.
Yeah. All right. So tell us about this album. Firstly, for us down here, how do we pronounce it?
Jylhä. Yeah.
Jylhä.
Good. Yeah. We were clever enough to pick up an album title that doesn't translate to English at all.
What does it mean?
Well, Jylhä is a phenomenon that it's something grandiose, something majestic, something that really has an impact on you in nature, like a big cliff somewhere, a mountain, an enormous tree. These things could all be called Jylhä, but it's not enough to be prominent in the landscapes. It needs to have a feeling of that it's been there throughout millions of storms. It's worn out, but it has endured. It has to have that kind of a feeling of ancient quality that that rock has seen a lot in its time. That kind of an impressive quality. So that's Jylhä.
When we were talking about the last album, when I was speaking to you last, you were relaying some fascinating stories behind the lyrics of the songs. What have we got this time around? I'd imagine with a title like that, we've got similar sort of epic tales being told.
Well, the title was difficult. There are a lot of murder stories in this album, and our first title was kind of depressive, and I felt that we can't go on with that title because the music is not depressive. So I felt that we need something that actually fits the uplifting feel of the album and not just the lyrics and the stories, and that's how the Jylhä started to feel fitting. Jylhä is a very rock and roll word, if you'd understand Finnish. but this time we really we have a bit of a different approach to myths this time. We are looking at myths that have a closer tie to reality. A lot of the myths are actually real life events that people just keep talking about for hundreds of years, and slowly the context of those stories is no longer present, but the stories remain. And then, because we don't have the context, we don't know anymore if they were real or not. So this time we have the murders from the Lake Boredom that really shocked the whole country in 1980s. So those murders remain unsolved. So there are a lot of stories around those murders that we don't know if it's true or not, but we do know that the murders did happen. So So similarly, there's a story behind the Leväluhta, which is a physical place, actual swamp in Finland, that they've discovered hundreds of bodies. And we don't bury our bodies into a swamp in this culture. So something bizarre has taken place there. But we don't know what. Was it a collective suicide? Or was it, was it,
I shouldn't laugh.
yeah, exactly. But well, welcome to the club. We have a dark sense of humor in this this country. So we made a metal reggae song out of a collective suicide. So I guess we're similarly fucked up here. But anyways, so there's one example of a place that must have a story.
It must have a hell of a story.
Yeah, must be a strong story, but we don't know. Nobody knows. So this is an aspect of myth and reality blending together. What do we know? That kind of a question that you can see in the album here and there. Also, Mylly, the windmill. There's this sort of like the character who is supposed to go into the windmill doesn't want to go because so many people have gone missing. When they went there, and you don't know why. If it's full of evil spirits, or if there's just some physical lunatic person there. You don't know what the danger is. So that's the kind of stories that inspired us this time.
Excellent. When is this album coming out?
5th of February. So this Friday, right?
Then what happens? What's open out there, or is it going to be the bizarre situation where you put an album out and people listen to it, but you can't tour in support of it? What's going on?
Well, yeah. Well, we were supposed to play record release show in Helsinki and Tampere, and now they've been postponed to September. So it is devastating, and it feels so awkward. Like when we did Kulkia, with Nuclear Blast, there's always quite a long preparation time from when the album has been recorded to the release day. So this album was recorded on May. So we've been playing these songs for a year now. And similar situation was with Kulkia. The album was ready and we were just waiting and waiting and waiting to get it released. And while we waited, we were playing these songs live. And now it feels so awkward that, we played these songs to each other for a full year without having this feeling of, playing it for the real people and seeing their faces and seeing their reactions and, sharing in the same physical space, through performance. And that feels so strange to be just, spending time with these songs as a band, alone as a band. It feels kind of wrong.
Do you get a better feel for the song in a sense of preparation and work out, okay, this song is going to work better live than this one, or we thought this one was going to work, it's probably take that one out of the set list and put another one in its place? Have you had that sort of reaction amongst yourselves?
Yeah, we have we have some songs that has felt good to play in a rehearsal room. The audience like those songs a lot, but somehow we as a band don't feel good playing them. So that has happened. It's also happened that we've been totally blown away by, for example, Kotikonnut from the Kulkia album. No one had heard of that song when we played it live for the first time. And it was like after a couple of measures, everybody was dancing and fooling around and having a lot of fun. That feeling that what's happening here? Like they react like they would know this song by heart. And it was never published, never been out before. So it is interesting. It's definitely a different thing to perform a song and to play a song. And there are all sort of things that go beyond reasoning that you just have to try out and see what happens.